Hello, little enzymes. Welcome back to Dacia's Digest. The topic of today's video is going to be holiday gift giving disasters. I've been seeing a lot of holiday related stories on Reddit lately, obviously because we are in holiday season. So I thought it would be the perfect time to just go ahead and read some of these on the channel. We have 3 stories today. The first one doesn't have an update, but the last 2 do. All of the relevant links and information will be included in the description. Also, my sister is here. She's not in the video today, but she's like back there taking a nap. So if you see any movement behind me, don't get scared. It's just her back there taking a nap. And with all that being said, let's go ahead and get into the video. Okay, so like I said, this first one, doesn't have an update, but it's related to the theme. So this was posted on the Am I the A-hole subreddit. Oops, I'm not sharing the right screen. And the title is, Am I the A-hole for not attending my family Christmas gathering because I can't afford the $250 white elephant gift? My 29 female family has a tradition where we do a big Christmas get-together every year, and the highlight is the white elephant gift exchange. It's always been a fun time, but this year, my family decided to raise the price limit to $250 per gift. In this economy, that's a lot. Opie says, I'm honestly a little shocked. I get that inflation has hit, but that's a lot of money for one gift, especially for something that's supposed to be fun and quirky, not something super expensive or meaningful. I have a pretty tight budget this year with unexpected medical bills and just general life expenses. After paying for all my bills and essentials, there's barely enough left to get by. The idea of spending $250 on a gift is totally unrealistic for me. I'm expected to show up for the family dinner and festivities. I started feeling like I was being pushed out of the tradition because of my financial situation. I told her that honestly, if I can't participate in the gift exchange, then I might not come at all. I didn't want to be the person who has to sit awkwardly and watch everyone else exchange expensive gifts when I couldn't contribute. Plus, I didn't want to feel embarrassed about not meeting their expectations. My mom thinks I'm being petty and that it's just one gift. My dad says I'm overreacting and that it's not about the price, it's about the spirit of Christmas, which, to be fair, I do agree with, but still, $250? Some of my siblings are saying I should just suck it up and join in because it's about being together, while others are telling me they agree with me, but are still going to participate since the majority of the family agreed to this. There's approximately 18 to 25 people in my family that will be there, and we are still expected to get gifts for our family members as well. I really don't want to make a big scene or cause drama, but at the same time, I feel like this is a massive financial burden that's being placed on me, and I just don't know if it's worth it to show up and feel out of place. So, am I the a-hole if I decide to sit this one out? And then she had an edit. To clarify, $250 is the amount my family agreed to when it comes to the cost of the gift. I don't even think a maximum amount was discussed. Oh, wow. Imagine somebody getting something even more expensive than that. If it were me, because I don't be caring what people think, I'd be like, oh, y'all got it. Like, I'll still come to the Christmas party, but I'm not spending that kind of money. And I don't care. Like, I just wouldn't care, honestly, to be left out of the gift-giving exchange. I could still be there and have a good time with my family, but I wouldn't make it a big deal that I'm not. I feel like she's even making it more of a big deal that she's not being able to participate versus just simply saying, oh, that's okay, like I'll still come, but I just won't do the gift exchange this year. It's just not in my budget. And that's it. You can still watch people have fun. I'm sure that's not going to be the only thing that you guys are doing at the family Christmas party. That's just going to be one small part of it. And yeah, but that's just me. I don't know. On the other hand, I do think it's ridiculous to have a $250 gift giving budget. And she said that they're expected to get gifts for the other family members, but Again, that's not a requirement. If you're expected to do something, that doesn't make it a requirement. So live within your means. The family just gonna have to understand. So some of the comments, someone said, not the a-hole. I get it would be very uncomfortable to be the only one who couldn't afford it. Tell your dad you will come if he gives you the $250. OP responded, right, laughing emoji, especially since on top of the white elephant gift, while we're not expected to get gifts for every family member, we do also give other gifts. So I'd be getting that gift on top of a gift for my parents, siblings, grandparents, etc. Someone responded, I'm confused. How do you suck up $250? How can you just help yourself to $250 of someone else's budget? If it's not about the price, then why the huge amount? How is $250 the spirit of Christmas? At that point, just make it an even million because to many, Christmas is pretty priceless. Also, why do you have to participate? Why can't you do what a reasonable guest would do and just not be there when the gift exchange happens? OP, you've already stated that other people are not happy and just going along, but I bet if you stood your ground, more people will stand their ground at the next white elephant party. It won't be easy since obviously your family feels entitled and is dismissive of anyone else's feelings on the matter, but I bet it'll be worth it. Your family is bullying you, even if not maliciously. Don't tolerate it. I agree. I just wouldn't participate. And I don't even think it's necessary for her to leave during the get there. Like, that's, to me, it's just not that big of a deal. Just don't, I don't know. To me, it's just not that big. If they're your family, they should understand and not be trying to press you to spend money that you don't have. It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. Let me go ahead and go to the next update. Or the next story. So this one is, I, 26 female, have been giving gifts to my boyfriend, 29 male's family at many celebrations without anything in return. Do I continue? My 26 female, boyfriend, 29 male, and I have been together for 2 years. His family is very big on hosting and throwing celebrations, whereas my family tends to only do large holidays together, which will be mostly centered around food as opposed to gifts. In the past year or so, I've been invited to his sister, 28 female's birthday, his sister's baby shower, his mom, 60-something female's birthday, his sister's kids' birthday, 2 female, his sister's housewarming, his family's Christmas, and a couple of other miscellaneous celebrations. That is a lot of celebration, a lot of love, a lot of community, a lot of togetherness, a lot of celebrations though. They continue, every time I bring a gift. It's to the point where I've been spending more money on gifts for his family than my own parents and siblings. However, I've never gotten a gift from his family. It's not really their fault or intentional, as we will tend to do our own celebration for my birthday, so there's not really been an opportunity for his family to give me gifts other than Christmas. But the one-sided gift giving is starting to get to me. I've considered that maybe there isn't an expectation for me to bring a gift, but for most of these celebrations I'm invited to, it would be very odd not to bring one. For example, baby shower, birthdays. I've considered doing joint gifts with my boyfriend, but his mom also pointedly asked one time, "Is that the one from OP?" without me mentioning that I had even brought a gift, which made it seem like it was a given that I should have brought one. Okay, let me pause. Because these people in these stories, I just don't get. Why are you doing things that you don't want to do? I just don't get it. Just don't get a gift. It's really not the end of the world. So either you get a gift and you don't complain, or you just don't bring gifts if you don't want to bring gifts and you feel like it's not being reciprocated. Like, where is it's just a dang gift. And gifts don't even have to be, honestly, you could even just bring a card or something like low cost, a little bathroom set with shampoo or lotion or whatever from Ross or something for like $10, $15. Like, I just don't get it. And then she's also saying, well, low key, the family hasn't even had an opportunity to reciprocate in that manner because there have been no celebrations or events hosted from her side anyway. So like, I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Why are you so upset about this? Am I missing something here? I just don't get it. I'm not finna do something I don't want to do, especially when it comes to my hard-earned money. If I buy the gift, that means I wanted to buy the gift, period. Anyways, she continues, to be clear, I don't want or need any gifts from anyone in his family. I work a decently paying job despite being in a high cost of living city, and my boyfriend and I are both more financially comfortable for our age than his family. However, the sheer number of celebrations I'm being invited to with an unspoken obligation for gifts is starting to build up, especially because it feels a little like the relationship is one-sided, as I've never received anything in return. That's what are you sure there's an unspoken obligation, or was it just perhaps the mom was just curious, like, oh, is this from OP? Oh, it's not. Oh, she didn't bring one. Oh, no, that's fine. Like, is it really an unspoken obligation, or are you just feeling like you're obligated to do it? She continues. With Christmas coming up, I wonder if I should continue bringing gifts or use this as an opportunity to work with my boyfriend and change our operating model. Or do I just bring something that's cheaper, like some baked goods or chocolates? Yes, both and TLDR and whatever. That's another thing, and I think I saw someone write a comment regarding this. Why isn't the boyfriend buying the gifts? Why are you buying the gifts? Because many times, I just put my name on the gift, If that's your family, you buy the gift, put both our name on it. Maybe I'll throw a little something in the pot for it, but why are you being the one to do it? Does he buy gifts too? So there's some relevant comments. One person said, you and your boyfriend should be giving joint gifts paid for by him, or you should stop gifting unless there's a clear expectation of reciprocity. You're not married to this guy and they're not your family, period. The next comment, most definitely start bringing some baked goods. Take on a baking hobby, but not too much time investment if you're not interested or want to give them that much effort. Or even going to the store's bakery section to get cookies and putting them on your own separate tray at home. If they ask why the sudden switch, you can tell them baking from the heart is the best gift of all. Right. That's what I'm saying. Just get something cheap. Like, what exactly is she gifting these people to where it's just taking such a toll? Goodness. So update 25 days later, TLDR of my original post is that I have gifted my boyfriend's family, his sister, his mom, his sister's kid, gifts on about 10 occasions this year, and have probably spent about $800 total. That means you're spending an average of $80 per gift. What are you giving these people? That's too much. That's way too much. She says, but haven't received anything in return and was wondering if I should switch to doing joint gifts with my boyfriend. Some commenters suggested that I was not being appreciative of being invited to family events, so I thought that maybe I was being too harsh. Well, with Christmas coming up, I, 26 female, was invited to Christmas with my boyfriend, 29 male's family, but given his sister, 28 female, just had her second child with some health complications, we had a conversation and decided it made sense for me not to join them, as I've been flying a lot for work and don't want to put the newborn at risk. That made the conversation about doing joint gifts super easy with my boyfriend, since I physically wouldn't be there. Out of the blue yesterday, though, oh wow, okay, I get it. Okay, let me read. Out of the blue yesterday, though, I received a text from my boyfriend's sister reminding me of their house address to ship gifts to, even though I've driven there multiple times. Then, about an hour later, I receive a text from my boyfriend's mother telling me about how the sister's daughter, toddler, has been a little upset recently given the new baby, and that it would be great to get the toddler an extra gift to make her feel special, since the attention has been on the newborn on top of whatever I was planning to get the newborn. She did top it off with a, You always give such nice gifts as a nice compliment. Okay, OP, I'm sorry. I apologize. I see what's going on here. I'm sorry. I see how you're being taken advantage of and manipulated because this is very clear to me now. I see where you could get the assumed what exactly did she phrase it as? Unspoken obligation. I definitely see now, given more context of what's going on here, they are definitely expecting these gifts from you. At the same time, OP, you are a grown woman. You need to stick up for yourself and just start giving normal gifts. I think you probably spoiled this family a little too much. Get your boyfriend involved. Maybe he could start getting some gifts, but you don't need to be spending average $80 per gift for people. Because now they asking you to get gifts for people who is not even being celebrated. The toddler? You want me to get a gift for the toddler? That's crazy. I'm gift giving for the entire family. Nah, you got to put your foot down. This is crazy. OP continues, for context, I grew up in a family that taught me not to buy gifts that you wouldn't want to receive. I bought very nice things for boyfriend's sister's kids for her daughter's birthday, toys, nice name brand clothing like Nike and North Face, and the latest baby shower for the newborn. I brought this to the attention of my boyfriend and he mentioned he'd let them know that he was bringing our gifts, but I have a feeling they'll misinterpret to think that we're still getting separate gifts. We will see how it goes next week, but I've been super put off by the texts I've gotten from his family. It seems pretty blatant that they want gifts from me and are expecting it, but I'm glad that my boyfriend is planning to take care of the communications. I don't know. It still doesn't sound like you guys are like completely on the same page here, but the entitlement of his family is pretty crazy, as this first comment says. So the first comment says, that's crazy entitlement. Clearly, you give great gifts and they want more. But asking for gifts like that is very off-putting. I don't blame you for feeling that way. From now on, only give joint gifts with your boyfriend. Nip this in the bud now. Someone else said, this is a boyfriend problem. Just that he's let this go on so long. But he doesn't need to be telling them he's bringing the gifts. What he needs to tell them is, here is OP's wish list. Because I know you didn't just reach out to someone not coming to our celebration to ask for gifts when you had no plans for giving her a gift yet again. And yes, I've noticed you haven't once returned any of the great gifts she's given you when it's her turn to get gifts. So I'll be bringing the gifts from us and will happily bring her back your gifts to her. Low-key? That's low-key a good response. Someone else said, who the heck takes gifts but doesn't give? To the point where they call you for the gift. Also, people saying being invited is the gift are takers. They don't give gifts, so don't listen to their advice. What kind of cheap-ass family are you dealing with? You sure you want to be married into this type of family? That's a good point. Let me go to her page, because this was... Oh, dang, the update was yesterday. There might not be another update so soon, but yeah, there's not another update yet. Hopefully we do get an update because I'm really interested to see what transpires here. It couldn't be me. And I know not everyone handles situations the same way that I do, but it just couldn't be me. Like, I can't even remember the last time I done got them. Ain't nobody getting gifts from me this year. Your gift is my presents. Okay, so next story. This one has a couple of updates and it's a little bit longer, so let's strap in. It says, am I the a-hole for immediately donating the gifts my stepmother bought for my children? There is a trigger warning for child emotional harm, verbal harm, harassment, and body shaming. So the original post says, I, 34 female, have no contact with my stepmother, Mary. Long story short, not worth explaining. Edit, I loosely explained in a comment. It's been 5 years since I cut her off from my and my family's lives. As such, she hasn't seen my son, 8 male, since he was 3 years old, and she's never met my daughter, 4 female. Throughout the years, she has attempted to contact me and my kids several times. My father used to help her sometimes. He'd tell me how awful she felt, how much she wanted to meet my daughter, and that the kids needed their grandma. I've never considered her a grandparent, as both my mother and mother-in-law are active in their lives. Several fights later, my father apologized and stopped assisting her, but Mary still tries to get in touch with me every now and then. I always state that I have no interest in seeing her or allowing her to be part of my children's lives. My son's birthday was in September. The day of, neither of my kids were home. A large box was delivered to our building. I opened it to find more than a dozen new toys for my children, along with a note that read, "Grandma Mary loves you both." As I later found out, she had bought the toys on a recent trip to the US. I couldn't think of that as anything besides a manipulation tactic. My children are barely aware that she exists. Why would she send them both a box full of toys on my son's birthday? I also think she planned the delivery for a time she thought the kids would be home so that they'd see the toys immediately. Either way, my husband and I decided not to keep any of the toys. We donated them all throughout October. The kids never saw any of them. Last week, my father called me. He said Mary had just told him about the toys and wanted to know whether the kids liked them. I told him the truth, and we had an argument. My father called me cruel and ungrateful for what I did. He said he understands Mary and I don't get along, but she still cared enough to spend hundreds of dollars on a loving gesture for my children, and the least I could have done was let them know about it. I honestly couldn't imagine keeping those toys, but I'd be lying if I said the amount of money spent on them didn't make me feel guilty. Am I the a-hole? I don't know. I feel like I don't have enough information to make a judgment, especially regarding the history between OP and the stepmom. And I think that she will explain it in some of the additional comments. So I don't know. I don't know if she's the a-hole or not. At the end of the day, I guess it's good that the kids never even saw the toys, so they never knew what they were missing out on. I don't know. Yeah, I feel like I can't make a judgment here yet. So there's some more context regarding why OP cut ties with Mary, and I think this is from her comments on the post. It says, "The long story is essentially my entire childhood. Having had her in my life when I was a child, I don't think Mary should be around any children, period. She was horrible to me when I was young because I refused to pretend she was my mother. I've been in therapy for years and it's still hard to talk about how she treated me. I feel like allowing her to be a part of my adult life at all was already giving her a second chance. I cut her off for good when she threw a tantrum because I hadn't taught my son to call her grandma. To name a few things she did. Mary tried to convince my father to make me stop eating dinner so that I'd lose weight. What? She made several detrimental comments about my body while I was going through puberty. Whenever me or my sister got sick, she'd claim we were faking it, and neither of us ever faked an illness. I once got sick while home alone with her, and it took me throwing up 3 times before she agreed to call my father. On one occasion, my sister got sick and she pretended to get sicker. Whenever my sister and I failed to accomplish something, she'd insult our intelligence. Whenever we succeeded, we had gotten lucky. We weren't allowed to say anything even remotely negative about Mary, or she'd have a breakdown. I once said she looked more like one movie character than another, and she started crying. I was 12. And this was the same woman who implied I was obese on an almost daily basis. I don't like talking about this, though therapy has been helping, which is why I didn't give examples originally. I don't care about her feelings enough to want to hurt her. I deny her a relationship with my children because she is an awful person. Okay, that's enough for me. You are not the a-hole. I would have probably did the same thing, or instead of donating the toys, I probably just would have sent them back to her. And maybe like that would have took out the, I guess, potential a-holeness, because it's like, I spent this money on these toys and you just gave them away. I could see how someone could try to frame that as being an a-hole. So if that was the case, I would send them back. Return to sender. Address not valid. So you can do whatever you want with the toys you bought. But I definitely wouldn't have given them to my kids under the guise of, oh, Grandma Mary got you some gifts. No, Grandma Mary don't know my kids and don't need to know my kids. So there's some more context on OP's relationship with her father. It says, I used to be low contact with my father. When I cut contact with Mary, she spent a few months trying to use him as a messenger. He's since agreed to stop, and our relationship has been improving, but I do intend to proceed with caution if we can't sort this out. She also had her mother call me to tell me off 3 times and her brother once. I've blocked them both. Someone said, your stepmother sucks, but you could have withheld the note and still given your kids the toys. I don't see why the kids have to miss out. OP responded, it was my son's birthday, plus Christmas is coming up. They already have plenty of toys and we're about to get even more. Missing out on Mary's blatant attempt to buy their affection won't ruin their lives. Right. And I disagree with that commenter because, again, the kids didn't miss out on anything. Like, it's optional toys that they never even knew about. And they already have like their own toys and their own things. I think it would have been even more of an a-hole move to give the kids the toys and not tell them who it came from. That would have been even worse, in my opinion. Someone else said, honestly, if I were your father and if you treated my wife like that, I'd never speak to you again. It is cruel. If someone makes a gesture of goodwill towards you, you could at least accept it. It doesn't mean you should speak to them, but to throw it back in their face is wrong. I completely disagree. Just because someone makes a gesture of goodwill towards you, that makes you automatically obligated to accept it? There's so many reasons why that statement is flawed. His wife treated me like crap for almost 15 years, and I never cut him off. It wasn't a gesture of goodwill. It was an attempt to gain access to my children, and I didn't throw it back in their face. If my father hadn't asked, I probably wouldn't have said anything. And then someone, I guess, asked if OP could have returned the toys to Mary. That was my idea. OP said, none of us live in the US where Mary bought the toys, so returning them would be more trouble than it's worth. We donated the toys to different institutions and charities around our country. So the consensus was not the a-hole based on the comments, and then there was an update 6 days later. OP says, hey guys, thank you for your input. Many of you stated you wouldn't be able to make any judgment without knowing why I have no contact with Mary. I think that's completely fair. I explained it better in the comments and I recommend reading them, but Mary was awful to me when I was young. I loathe talking about it, though therapy has been helping me with that. But it stemmed from the fact that I wouldn't allow her to be a second mother to me. I went low contact with her in my early 20s, and she'd still treat me like crap whenever I saw her. When my son was born, Mary begged me to give her a second chance. She apologized for upsetting me and promised she had changed. I warned her that if she ever overstepped or even remotely hinted at going back to her old ways, she'd never see me or my family again. To be honest, I'm surprised she lasted 3 years. I didn't clarify that in my original post because not only is this something I have trouble talking about, but I also didn't think it was relevant. I was asking about the donations, not whether I was justified in cutting ties with Mary. But I do agree that it's best to have the complete picture before making judgment calls, so I apologize for withholding that. Another thing I didn't mention is that Mary never had children of her own, and my only sister is child-free. My kids are the only grandchildren in the family, which I think is why Mary wants to see them so badly. Anyway, I went through your comments and organized a list of things I wanted to say to my father. I thought about making one for Mary as well, but I doubt she'd actually listen to it. I spoke to my father on Saturday. He said he talked with his wife. Apparently, Mary bought the gifts because it broke her heart to be unable to watch my kids grow up, and she hoped the toys would at least let them know how much she loved them. My father also said that Mary told him about the gifts. He insisted he had no idea because it had been a while and me and the kids hadn't thanked her yet. My husband and I usually have our children say thank you through voice messages whenever they get a gift from someone who isn't nearby. We've done that for my father before, so I think that's what Mary was expecting. I explained that it didn't matter how thoughtful he thought Mary's gesture was. When I cut ties with her, I cut her off completely. That means no gifts, no phone calls, and no contact with my children, directly or not. She can claim to love them all she wants, but she will never have any involvement in their lives. We had another argument, but I put my foot down. I told my father that if he ever attempts to assist her in any way or brings up Grandma Mary to my children, he will never see me again. I'll allow him to be a part of his grandkids' lives, but he needs to accept that his wife won't be. Ultimately, my father agreed, but I intend to watch him closely from now on. I don't want to cut contact with him, but this will be his final chance. If he screws this up, he's done. While I'm not 100% confident this will last, I'm still happy with this outcome. I've been going through a fairly stressful time at work, and it feels great to have this weight off my shoulders now. More importantly, I feel like I'm well equipped to deal with whatever comes next. I don't intend to write any further updates. Once again, thank you. And some of the relevant comments, this one is regarding how OP plans to move forward with her father. She said, the only person who I can imagine defending Mary to my kids is my father. If he tries that, I'll cut ties immediately. I don't intend to keep them in the dark. I'm just not putting this on them right now. Plus, I think I've managed to make it clear that when I say I'm cutting ties, I mean it. If my father demonstrates he hasn't gotten the message, I won't feel conflicted about cutting him off as well. Someone said, it is cruel to force your own father not to stick by his wife in front of his grandchildren. In parentheses, it says, this is the same commenter who called the gifts a gesture of goodwill on the original post. OP responded, it was cruel of his wife to treat the mother of his grandchildren like garbage. Right. That must be Grandma Mary commenting, because what are you talking about? Someone said, why not keep the gifts? OP said, keeping the gifts didn't feel right for a number of reasons. Pretty much anything that comes from Mary feels tainted to me, no matter the purpose. Plus, I don't really want to spite her. I don't care about her feelings enough to offend them. Someone said, your kids may not know her now, but it will be interesting to see if they want a relationship with her when they are teenagers or adults, assuming she is still around. Maybe your dad will finally leave her. I don't understand why everybody's so pressed for the kids to have a relationship with Grandma Mary. They literally have two other grandmothers, like blood grandmothers. This is a step grandmother, like that OP doesn't have a good relationship with. So why are they so pressed for the kids to... Anyways, OP said, when my kids are a bit older, I'll explain who Mary is, what she did, and why we don't talk to her. If they want to pursue a relationship with her afterwards, that will be their choice. I sincerely hope that doesn't happen, but I'll respect their decision as long as they respect mine. I don't think it will happen though. Mary is not a pleasant person. Most of my family members dislike her as well. So unless she drastically improves, I don't think my children would enjoy her company. All right, so the last update, that was 4 weeks later. Wow. OP says, I really didn't think I'd update again, but I figured I'd let you know that Mary sent us another box. Mary sound like she might need some psychological attention, some mental health assessment of some sort, cause what? She says, this time my father warned me. Last week, he sent me a text that read, Mary is sending Christmas gifts for the kids. I promise I just found out. I was at work and sure enough, the box was there when I got home. My husband and I managed to take it to our bedroom before our children saw it. The box was smaller than the previous one, and we counted 10 toys with Christmas wrapping inside, 6 for my daughter, 4 for my son. There was also another note which read pretty much the same as the last one, with an added, "I'm sorry you didn't get my other gifts." Mary, come on. Leave the girl's children alone. She don't want you talking to her kids. Leave them alone. It's a lost cause. You have no say here. Leave it alone. Opie says, I decided to text Mary this time. I unblocked her and wrote the following. Anything you try to give me or my children will be donated immediately. Please stop attempting to contact us. You will never be allowed near my family. I then blocked her again. This was my first time unblocking or even contacting her in 5 years. The next day, I spoke to my father. He said Mary didn't tell him she was sending me the box until after doing so. He'd been out of town for a week at that point, and she hadn't said anything about buying my kids more presents before he left. She let it slip to him over the phone and then begged him not to tell me. Apparently, Mary was distraught at my text. That's all I know about how she's reacting to this. My father is doing his Christmas shopping right now, and there are a number of reasons why I don't think he was involved in this. Still, I don't feel like I can trust him right now. I told him he will see me and my family less often than usual for the next few months. We'll see each other on Christmas Eve. There's a party at my cousin's. Mary was banned years ago. And then in February for my aunt's birthday, it's a weekend trip. Mary's not coming. Besides that, I intend to remain in low contact with him for a while. I don't intend to keep that up forever, but I want to be able to trust him again. My father said he understood. I know a lot of you wanted me to cut my father off. I'm not sure I can explain why, but I don't want to do that. Even if I did, I'm not ready to. It might happen in the future, and I'm well aware it should be happening now, but I do think we will still have a shot at making this work. This entire week was crap. The first time Mary sent us the gifts, I was just confused. This time, I was very upset. I cried when I read her note. I am feeling much better now, though. My husband and I donated the new toys over the weekend, and getting rid of them felt great. I am very glad we managed to protect our children from this. Also, let me add, one final time, I came to Am I the A-hole to ask whether I was wrong for donating the gifts, not for cutting ties with Mary. So if anyone else intends to tell me I should allow her in my kids' lives, don't bother. I will not budge on this. I don't think I have anything else to add. Thank you all and happy holidays. And then some relevant comments. There's a few here. One person said, why is Mary doing this? OP said, I think it's mostly to gain access to my children. She wasn't able to have kids of her own, and mine are the only grandchildren in the family. I don't think she cares about being forgiven. Mary was emotionally harmful to both me and my sister. It didn't get physical, save for a few occasions she knowingly put us both in dangerous situations, so I didn't think it was bad enough that I should tell my mom about it at the time. My sister was younger, so Mary didn't treat her as bad, but she still kept trying to force a mother-daughter bond between them that never really worked. Most of my paternal family went no contact with Mary around the same time I did. Some of them were present when I cut her off, but they never really liked her. Mary isn't a pleasant person for a number of reasons. Even when she was allowed near my son, she was insufferable. She was very jealous of my mom's role in his life and, to a lesser extent, my mother-in-law's, and kept asking me to let him sleep over at her and my father's place and complained about everything I dressed him in. She's too much. She's too much. You know, childhood harm aside, I wouldn't want this person to be around my kids at all. She just be doing too much. No. And the beauty of life and the beauty of boundaries is that OP doesn't have to. She don't have to have this crazy lady around her kids. Period. Someone said, not the a-hole. The notes are what are doing it for me. The whole thing is a boundary stomping, but the notes to the kids are just passive-aggressive manipulation. Opie said, the way they're phrased almost reminds me of the way she'd sometimes talk to me when I was a kid. I think that's why I cried when I read the second one. That's sad. Someone said, something I haven't seen mentioned but am nonetheless curious about. Does Mary or your dad think you'll let her in your life when your dad passes? Also, how will you handle the funeral stuff, as she will most likely be there if he dies first, statistically probable? Opie said, thank you for this. As for the funeral stuff, I'll be honest, I haven't really thought about it much. My father is in good health, so I think it will depend a lot on how my children are when he passes. If it happens sooner than later, which I hope it doesn't, I won't bring the kids. However, if either or both of my children are older than 15 by the time it happens, I'll let them choose whether they want to come. Even if they do, I won't allow Mary to approach them, and I'll tell them to keep their distance. I can't predict how I'd feel in this situation, but I love my father very much, and I wouldn't miss his funeral. I wouldn't put it past Mary to try to take advantage of my emotional state. She tried to do that when my grandfather passed, but I consider myself to be a stoic person, so I think I'll be able to avoid her. Mary is significantly younger than my father, so I think he is likely to die first. I'm almost certain of it, if not all, of my paternal family would also keep their distance from her, so whatever happens, I won't be alone. I intend to talk to my kids about her sometime soon. My daughter isn't old enough to understand everything, but I think I can at least grasp that they shouldn't be near her. I'll keep waiting for the right moment for now, but that conversation is definitely happening in the near future. I'm also paranoid, but the chances of a surprise visit from Mary are very low. She can't show up at their school. Only me and my husband are allowed to pick them up, and she wouldn't be let in otherwise. We also live in an apartment building, not a house, and she can't come inside without the doorman letting her. And it's not that I don't think I could lose my father sooner than later. I just genuinely never really thought about how I'd handle funeral stuff. And then the last comment, OP's response to someone's claim that she got the drama started. Opie says, sure, I started the drama. When I was 14 and Mary told me I was obese and no one would ever love me, I started it. When I was 12 and Mary locked me and my little sister in our bedroom overnight and then pretended she hadn't, I started it. When she cried and screamed at me for asking to spend my mom's birthday with my mother, I started it. When she tried to convince my paternal family I was obese, according to 2 different doctors I wasn't, and shouldn't be allowed to eat dinner, I started it. When I was pregnant with my daughter and she yelled at me in front of my family because my son had called her by her first name instead of grandma, I started it. I didn't start anything. She never loved me. Leave me alone. I couldn't imagine. Sometimes reading these stories, I'd be so grateful for my upbringing. I just couldn't imagine being in a severe harm situation like that. Anyway, that is the end. Let me make sure that she doesn't have any additional posts. No, she doesn't have any more. I hope all goes well for you, OP, and the fathers. These stories just always annoy, because why would you want to be married to someone who treats your kids like that? The fathers in these stories just be pissing me off. But we'll go ahead and go to our palate cleanser. So this was just funny to me. It's a prank. It's an extra large comb prank. So random, but funny. This older gentleman is sitting in a barber chair and the barber is behind him. He's cutting his hair or whatever. And this scene ensues.
Oh, you said me. Grazie Gonzalo, you are.
His laugh. The comb is huge. The barber literally pulls out this huge comb that's like bigger than the client's head and starts combing him with it, and he just like busts out laughing. When I hear other people laugh, like a genuine like belly laugh like this guy, it's just so funny. Anyways, that does it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.